Good afternoon, fellow Plex server owners. Today's video is for Jason. Jason has posted in multiple Plex groups and I've responded to him in Plexaholics. He wants to make Filebot match his episode names that he's renamed correctly that he says for Gunsmoke. And Jason, right off the bat, let me show you what I've got. Actually, let me fix this. Let me just get rid of the year. I created this folder, and then I created a disk 1 and disk 2 subfolder because I don't really know if that's how you have it organized or not. And inside disk 1, I've got 4 dummy files, just short 5 or 6 second files, renamed like you listed them, and the same thing for disk 2. Now, these really are not episode names that are that great. You don't really need this black and white 50 minutes in it for Plex to scan. And if you did want Plex to scan something like this, the first part's great, but it really should have the show name and then the years, something that should be there too. And then a space dash space, and then again a space dash space between the season and episode coding and the proper name. And this is a little nitpicky, but if you're going to use a capital S for season, use a capital E for episode or have them both lowercase. And then anything after the proper episode name, have a space dash space, or as Plex says in its naming guide, put it in brackets to have Plex ignore that extra stuff. But I'm not going to nitpick over that. These are great to then use with Filebot. So before we talk about Filebot, we have to talk about DVD versus aired ordering. So when you're ripping, you should always name to the DVD order because it could be different from aired ordering. Lots of times it's the same, but not always. Sometimes only a few episodes are out of sync with each other between the two ordering. The movie database only has aired ordering, and when you set up a default TV show library in Plex, the default is to pull episode ordering from TMDB, which again is only aired ordering. So you have to set your library up to use DVD, well actually to use TVDB ordering, and then the show is set up for DVD ordering. So before we get into Filebot, let me show you that. Here's a test Plex server. So at the library level, we want to edit this, manage library, edit. And this assumes you're naming right along to TVDB entries and not TMDB entries, which is what I do. I never suggest using TMDB for naming for a TV show. But by default, this is how it's set up, the movie database. So then if this show was ripped from DVD, you would go into the advanced settings by editing the show and changing the episode ordering to TVDB aired. I'm sorry, to TVDB DVD. You can also use absolute. So the library default is this. Then for your own rips, you've got to adjust at the show level. And if you just leave everything by default, everything's going to be the movie database aired ordering. All right, so let's get into Filebot, and we'll come back to Plex. But if you're naming manually, you can just pick the listing you want to use. And some people find out the difference, and then they just rename everything to aired ordering so they don't have to do that manual switch. But this is going to show how to use Filebot basically with both. Okay, so we have Jason's raw files. And let me talk about some expressions. I will post these expressions in the description of the video. So the first one is TV series TVDB structure by DVD order, with a reminder to change the episode order in the entry at Plex. This is the full expression, and it does a lot. Because the movie year isn't always part of the proper name at TVDB, mostly it's not, when you tell Filebot to add the year, any entry that already has the year, you'll end up with double years in the new structure. So this replace trailing brackets fixes that. This part creates the show folder. This part creates the this part creates the season folder and the episode names. This part adds the actual episode names. Oh, I'm phrasing this wrong. So let's start again. This part creates the season folder and it adds the show name to the episode file. This part adds the episode name to the episode file. I like descriptive files, so Plex tells us in the TV show naming guide that anything in brackets is ignored by the scanner. So within brackets, my episode file name will tell me media characteristics about it. The video format, the video codec, audio format, and audio codec. Then the developer of Filebot helped me come up with this. This looks to see if there are either embedded English or undescribed subtitles inside the media container file. And if there's either, it displays that. So that way, just by renaming, I know that it has embedded English subtitles. But what I'm looking for is to see if there's unlabeled subtitles, which is a hint which episodes I need to open up in MKV Toolnix to then label as English if they are indeed English. And this last little bit takes care of external subtitles. So I've shortened it for this video. This is what we're going to use as our example in Filebot that doesn't do all the extra stuff that mine does. Oh, hold on. This is not it. This is my full expression, but it's not creating structure. It's just renaming episodes. This is the shortened version of my full expression that creates structure, and this is the shortened version of my expression that just renames in place. So these will be in the description. All right, so let's see what Filebot does. I'm going to right-click on the Gunsmoke folder, and I'm just assuming that this is the structure. I could do the test again with just this in a raw folder named Gunsmoke, but this should work. So I'll open it in Filebot. There's a new update. So I'm going to use my default expression. So we've already got some errors here. The red shows an error. So we're looking at episode names to see what matches up. So what's throwing it off is the structure. The subfolders of Disk 1 and Disk 2 are being interpreted by Filebot as Season 1 and Season 2. So you see, it's trying to create this structure with Disk 1 in here, and it's just not working. It got it right here, Season 10, with adding this extra Disk 2 structure, but it missed it completely here. This is calling it Bluey or something. So we're going to fix that simply by just getting rid of that structure. We have a couple different options here. So this is no good. Filebot is smart enough. It can just take these raw files and do what it needs to do. Or we can create a Season 10 folder right now to put them in. It'll work the same way with either choice. But let's just do the raw files inside a Gunsmoke folder. Okay, so I'll use my default expression that pulls metadata from TVDB eared ordering. So we don't have any red, so let's compare episode names. Blue Heaven and Crooked Mile. We have that. The Old Man and the Violators. We have that. Doctor's Wife, Take Her, She's Cheap. We have that. Help Me Kitty and Hung High. And we have that. What that tells me, at least for these episodes, is there's no difference between the eared order listing and the DVD ordered listing at the TVDB database. So let me rename them to the DVD ordering, and we're going to come up with the same thing. So Blue Heaven and Crooked Mile, Old Man and the Violators, Doctor's Wife and Take Her, She's Cheap, and then Help Me and Hung High. So we've got exactly what we need. So let me just make a copy of this so I have it to work with again. And we'll go back into this. And Filebot's still open. Well, actually, I have 2 copies of Filebot open. Let's close the one we're not using. So I'm just going to hit rename. And if I go back into the library, let's see, where was I? Oh, there it is. I have it. I can just cut it, paste it into my main movie library. We'll pull up Plex. Plex will start scanning automatically. And now, because we know that there's no difference with those 8 episodes between the DVD and the eared ordering, all the metadata was brought in correctly. So this is going to be a match. But if there was a difference, we'd have to manually point this to DVD ordering. So let's start at the beginning. Let's go back to our TV show library. I think all naming for shows should come from the TVDB because it's more versatile. So let's go to Manage Library and Edit. So I think the minute you create the library, episode ordering should be changed from the default setting of the movie database to the TVDB. And then a show like this, whose DVD ordering might be different for a few shows, once Plex scans it in, you have to hit the 3 dots here. I'm sorry, you have to hit the Edit first, then go to Advanced, and then change the episode ordering to TVDB TVDB DVD, which it already is. I don't know why. I would assume it would have been eared. Save the changes, hit the 3 dots, and refresh metadata. And if you had any episodes that were slightly out of order, that process will fix it. Now, right now, what do we have going on? So we may not have metadata for pictures to pull, but let me see what's going on. Something doesn't look right. I'm not pulling any metadata. Let's change this back. Let's go to the show level. Change that back to TVDB aired. Okay, with this show I'm pulling metadata with the aired ordering. We'll refresh. And I'm not pulling metadata that way. So let's go back to TVDB. So we're under DVD ordering. Oh, this is easy. This is why. There is no DVD ordering for this. So all my advice is only based on a show that actually has a different DVD ordering from the aired ordering. So when you pull it off the DVD, it's going to be the same as the aired. And now it makes sense why I'm having that issue. So I can go back to this at the show level, change it back to aired, and Plex just takes care of itself. So with this show, as long as the entry is the same at TMDB, you could get away with pulling metadata by default from TMDB aired ordering, but that's not going to work on a lot of TV shows you rip yourself. So by default, again, you really should be naming from the TVDB and set that up as default, and then change to aired ordering. Now, I don't rip a lot of discs, but when I do, I find out the differences between the DVD and aired ordering. And usually it might only be one or two shows in a couple seasons and not the whole thing. And I manually rename everything to the aired ordering. And I do that because of this reason. If your Plex server self-destructs, your database goes corrupt, you can't recover, but your media is all fine, and you have to take the drastic step of pointing a new Plex TV show library at your media, you need to keep a list of which shows needed the DVD ordering set manually and which shows are normal for the aired ordering. If you've got 20 TV shows or 50 TV shows or 100, that list isn't that long. If you've been ripping for a long time and you might have 500 TV shows, and 30% of them need the DVD ordering, well, you have a longer list, and when you rebuild your server, you have to follow that list to set it to DVD ordering for those shows individually. If when you rip it, you take a little bit of extra time and rename anything out of place at the DVD ordering to the aired ordering, I think you're better off in case of a catastrophic event down the road. And Filebot can help you identify that. So let me go back in with, let me just try the Beverly Hillbillies. Now this is a public domain. Everything you see besides Gunsmoke is public domain, and these aren't real video files. This is me talking for 6 seconds. Plexers, test 1, 2. But my examples on this server that are actual media, this is all public domain stuff. Also, I don't get in trouble with YouTube. So let's try the Beverly Hillbillies by example, and then we'll show you how to enter those expressions in Filebot. Okay, so now that I have this DVD ordering, or DVD ordering, I'm just going to run it on these files and see if anything turns up red. Because if it's red or there's a difference between the episode names, you know there's a difference in that database. So let's do it again for the Lucy show. I don't have many episodes to check. All right, so this tells me that there is no difference with these particular episodes between the TVDB and the TVDB, DVD, and error ordering. I'm losing my words. Okay, so let's remove everything. And now that we're in Filebot, so basically, I'm going to show you two expressions, and then I'll add an expression manually. So I'll click the preset and I'll click edit. My default expression that I use a lot is this one. That's why I put a number 2 in front of it and a number 1 in front of the movie expression I use mostly. So let's edit that. When you create an expression, you'll have to name it, and then you get to this editor page, and you can paste your expression into the format field, and this is where you choose. Your data source has to be the TVDB. If you were naming TV shows from the movie database, you'd pick this top one. Set your language, rename stays the same, and then you choose either air date or DVD. And then this is opportunistic, and my keyboard shortcut is none. So you save the preset. So if I go into this one that I created before I started the video, edit. So I've just pasted the expression in here. The data source is the TVDB, English, rename, and DVD ordering. So let's add this expression for DVD ordering simple. I'm sorry, let's do this one that's only renamed, because this one is number 3, and let's add this as number 4. So I'm just going to copy the name I want for it. Click the preset, click edit, new preset. I'll paste that in, click OK, and now I'll grab this, and you can do the same thing from the description of this video. Paste that in, and I want it to be DVD ordering, and I do not want to pull from the movie database. I want to pull from the TV show, and I can save the preset, and now it's down here. So if let's be a little destructive. Let's bring these out of that and just paste them here. Plex is going to rescan because there's no show now. Let's get rid of that show folder. And actually, we're still in the library, so let's take them right out of here and put them back here. So now I'm going to create a new temporary show folder for them. And I'll throw them into that. So I'll right click that and open it with Filebot. You may have to drag it in if you're using Windows. So now I'm going to use that new expression I made. Oh, actually, I called it TV series DVD rename only by DVD simple. Now I can't remember. I may not have saved that. So let's go through this again. I'm going to call this 4 so I can keep track of it. Edit, new preset. Copy that, paste it. Make this DVD order and change that to the database. Now I'll save. Now when I go down, I have the 4. So this is just going to rename in place. It's not going to create structure. And the green shows that it's already named that way. So if I do the other one that's listed here, it's basically this one. It's going to create the structure. So I can do that. Refresh. And we have the structure. Now I can keep playing with it. I'll open it up in Filebot again. And now I'm going to use my default structure, and I can either rename it and create structure, which is just going to create the structure in the same place. And now it's going to add the extra information. Or I can rename it only by air date. And that creates the same structure again. I can basically do whatever I want with the different expressions and just apply. So if you want this extra information in the file name, you do have to have MediaInfo installed alongside Plex. So basically, that's a primer on Filebot for RIP Media. And remember, the structure of disk 1 and disk 2 screwed Filebot up. So you can manually create a season folder, or you can just have all the shows just under the show name. Get rid of the season folder. This can be named simply. And then you can just throw this through Filebot with any expression you want. Now my other Filebot videos show all my movie expressions too, but we'll keep just a few of these in this video's description. So Jason, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. If you need a follow-up video, let me know. But remember, there's a difference between DVD ordering and aired ordering for certain Blu-ray and DVD rips, and you need to be aware of that when you're using Filebot. And you can set a custom expression to name to both, the aired ordering to DVD ordering, but I strongly suggest you find those differences and fix it so it's all aired ordering, and then globally just use the TVDB for the library instead of the movie database. Thanks for watching. Happy Plexing.